Hi, I'm Melissa Wright. So, about a week ago, I actually stopped eating meat. I never thought that would be a choice I was making. So, today I'm going to talk about why I made that choice. I have two blog posts about this one that I'll have linked below. The first is on Over the Invisible Wall with my friend Justine and our new regular contributor, Courtney. That one is called An Informal Discussion of the Ethics of Eating Meat, which is actually what initially led to this decision. And then the other piece is just about my first week of eating vegetarian. So I wrote a post about what I felt like throughout the week after making this change. I actually started writing an informal discussion of the ethics of eating meat. It was inspired by reading an article called Are We Wrong to Assume That Fish Cannot Feel Pain? It was a really long but really good article about problems in the fishing industry and packed full of information about fish and social structures that fish have and how fish are way more complex than we normally think they are. Some fish are actually really intelligent and we don't often realize that. It just kind of brought up the question of should we fish? Should we eat fish? And so then I was like, well, that's connected to should we eat meat at all? And going into the post, I was like, I have to write a post about this. I just have to. That's naturally my response to reading something like that. I'm just like, I have to write about this now. Not because I'm obligated to, but because I want to. So I start reading this post going in to defend the idea of eating meat. And I find as I think through it that I don't really necessarily have any good reason for thinking it's okay, except that I've always done it and I think it tastes good. And I was struggling for a while to think of and really put to words reasons for thinking and believing it was okay. Then, while I was thinking about this post, kind of in the back of my mind, I ran into a video on Facebook that was a short snippet from a 32-minute speech by a vegan. I don't remember what his name is. I'll link the whole video down below if you are interested in watching that. So after watching that short 5-minute speech, I saved the long video for later and I was like, okay, this little bit kind of prompted some thoughts, but I shouldn't just respond based on that short video on Facebook. I should go see the context of what he's saying. And while watching it, the couple of parts that were in the Facebook video, they were a bit stronger examples and better points in the context of his whole speech rather than just alone. I was really thinking about it. Here's kind of an explanation of problems with the way animals are treated. In my post, I kind of grappled with, okay, well, since I don't have to, is it still okay? Do I still feel okay eating meat given some environmental impact concerns about the way that animals are treated in the industries? There's a difference between needing to eat meat for survival and the fact that we just eat a lot of meat for enjoyment. There's nutritional aspects, and that was the hardest part of switching and stopping eating meat, was getting enough protein and really making a conscious effort to make sure I was eating enough protein, because at first I wasn't and I didn't realize that I wasn't. So the first few days I was hungry. I didn't really understand why. So I did some research. Protein helps you stay full between meals. So knowing how you're going to get protein is super important to making a switch like this. In the middle of writing my post, I hadn't fully committed to not eating meat anymore, but I stopped eating meat anyway. Monday before the post on Over the Invisible Wall went up, I hung out with a couple friends of mine and I kind of talked to them about what I was thinking in the post I was writing, and we discussed the issue a little bit, and that kind of pushed me a little bit closer to not eating meat. I did eat meat at their house. That was the last time I ate meat, though, except I had some chicken broth the other day. I made a chickpea curry, and we didn't have vegetable broth because I didn't think to buy it when I was at the store. Well, I did, and I was like, I don't know that I want to buy it yet. I don't necessarily need it. And then I was like, I decided to make curry, and it calls for broth, and I didn't buy vegetable broth. We only have chicken broth. So I did have chicken broth, but otherwise I haven't had any meat. I'm not trying to tell other people that they shouldn't eat meat. I think it is something to consider and at least think about. Like the dairy industry and the meat industry and just things as a whole and environmental impact. There's a lot of aspects of it that we have to think about. Most people, at least in the Western world, would be able to make a change like this if they wanted to and they set their minds to it. But I'm not going to push them to that if that's not where they're at. If they don't have the same problem with it as I do, that's up to them. That's not up to me to tell them to make that change. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys sometime next week.